Hi there. It's me again. Cold as hell in upstate New York, hence the hoodie. Currently in the middle of a winter storm, so I figured this is, since it's like winter storm, just about 10 days outside of Christmas, I'd run down some of the Christmas films that are awesome, but off the beaten path. Things that you might not have thought of, but are awesome, and you should watch them instead of the same boring, safe crap that you see every year. Granted, this first one is kind of one of the obvious ones, but I still think it bears mentioning. Die Hard, the original, one of the best Christmas movies ever, one of the action movies ever, one of the best movies ever. This is going from a movie geek, like an actual movie geek. I believe these things. It's legitimately just a great film for any time of the year. I mean, it's Christmas adjacent, as AV Club put it, so you could really watch it anytime. But it's very much, since it takes place at Christmas and has very Christmassy elements. Totally excellent Christmas movie. As is its sequel, Die Hard 2. Well, one of its sequels, the first of its sequels. The rest of them don't take place on Christmas, so you can really watch those whenever, and it doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference. Die Hard 2, I only watch at Christmas, and only with Die Hard. Some people really love it, say it's better than the first one. I think those people are batshit insane. That's a personal opinion, but not to say it isn't a fun movie, an enjoyable part of the series, whatever. It's just, it ain't Die Hard. Die Hard's possibly the second greatest Christmas action movie. The first best, Lethal Weapon, which is also maybe the best action movie ever. I really don't know what else I can say about it other than it's that there was a weird thing in the 80s where it was like, I guess 70s was when movies first started to become really profitable, like with Jaws and Star Wars and such. And so, obviously, by the 80s, there's more and more being made. And the 80s, there was like the art meeting commerce to some extent, which is to this that which is now almost non-existent. Now there's basically your prestige pictures in like winter and your summer blockbusters in summer, obviously, and very rarely the twain shall meet. Occasionally, you have something that's actually like legitimately good, like Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight, which is high art superhero film, but that's few and far between. However, in the 80s, there were still some people who were doing really good, excuse me, scripts, really good directors, which was the case of Die Hard and the case of Lethal Weapon, where there's really good people behind the camera, good people in front of the camera, making great films that are also for the masses. Lethal Weapon was written by the great Shane Black, who a lot of his flicks take place around Christmas. Like Lethal Weapon was the first one. Then you end up with, I think Long Kiss Goodnight takes place around Christmas. I know Iron Man 3 recently, it takes place around Christmas. Also, so does this film, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. His directorial debut takes place around Christmas, takes place on Christmas, whatever. Fantastic movie, insanely underseen movie. Really, just one of the best comedies of the last bunch of years. One of the best like noir mysteries, even though it's really convoluted. Just that's I mean it's essentially the movie that got him the Iron Man job and completely deserved as far as I'm concerned. That's why I was stoked when it just first was announced. However, it is not as funny as this film, The Ref. Then it's starring Dennis Leary, Kevin Spacey. Not a lot of people saw it when it came out. Not a lot of people have seen it now. It seems to be like the cult of cult films. But it really deserves a watch. Like really, it's funnier than A Christmas Story, Santa Claus, Elf. Name a friggin' holiday comedy. It is funnier, in my opinion, and really, I feel like it should be in everybody's opinion, but whatever. This is also a great one. Scrooged with Bill Murray. Also directed by the same guy who did The Weapon. Basically a retelling of the Christmas Carol story, but modernized for the 80s. With Bill Murray. Hilarious movie. Works if you're a child, works if you're an adult. Just, it's fan-friggin-tastic. This one's kind of obvious, but I feel like a lot of people don't really acknowledge it as a Christmas movie, but Gremlins. Who doesn't love Gremlins? Who has seen Gremlins and doesn't love Gremlins? That's supposed to be a more accurate way to put it. Because really, it's the astonishing many people I meet that haven't seen it, and that doesn't make any sense to me. It is literally one of the greatest movies of all time. It's in, like, all of the things I've mentioned so far have been movies that phenomenal scripts, really good directors, making great films that stand forever, but in some cases I feel like are still managed to be underrated, and for that matter, don't seem to get remembered when we're talking about holiday movies. People think of, like, just It's a Wonderful Life, It's a Christmas Story, etc. Which isn't to say those aren't good movies, but they're the same shit. Like, if you watch that every year, I can't see not getting bored with it. I can't see seeing It's a Wonderful Life more than, like, every couple of years not getting bored with it. But that's on you. That's fine. Anyway, Gremlins, great. Again, just like Scrooge, good if you're, like, a child. I saw it when I was, like, 4 years old, 5 years old. I watch it now. I still think it's awesome. Granted, as a child, it's terrifying. As an adult, it's just hilarious. But that's why it works. And it's kind of alternative. It's the same vibe as, like, Nightmare Before Christmas. So, I mean, if you want to watch Nightmare Before Christmas and Gremlins, that'd be probably a pretty good double feature. I don't really know. I haven't really tried. But anyway, moving on. Another really good, kind of off the beaten path one a lot of people forget about is Batman Returns. It's of the original Batman movies, i.e. not Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. It's, in my opinion, by far the best, and really the only one that's not only watchable yearly, but watchable, period. I really dislike the first movie, despite what everybody says. Batman Forever I have a weird connection to because of the time it came out, but I wouldn't call it a great film, and Batman and Robin is just fucking god-awful, as you probably know. However, Batman Returns, legitimately good. Legitimately, I mean, I have a friend who is crazy, but he believes that it's the best Batman movie ever, and if it wasn't for the three masterpieces that Christopher Nolan created, he would be correct. I will say, though, Christmas, Batman Returns, solid choice. Directed by Tim Burton, which is also this film, also directed by Tim Burton. Edward Scissorhands. I think a lot of people forget that's a Christmas movie too, I guess because it takes place in, I guess it's supposed to be, it appears to be like California. I mean, I guess it's because it's kind of autobiographical of Tim Burton, and I think he grew up in California. I think that's why it has that vibe. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the myth of, like, how, like, the way fables, where they do it to explain why something happens. Edward Scissorhands is basically like how snow came to, I guess, that town. Or to the world. I'm not 100% sure how he meant. But whatever. It's the of Tim Burton films, those, along with Ed Wood, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I might be done, are really the ones that are really worth watching, and those are two that are definitely worth watching around Christmas. Nightmare Before Christmas is not a Tim Burton film. It is a Henry Selick film that Tim Burton produced. Don't get it twisted. Just saying. There's the last ones I want to talk about. I was trying to keep it at 10. I think I ended up with 11, but Die Hard 2 is a sequel, so it's still kind of okay, I think. Whatever. But last two I want to speak of are Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is just, I mean, very simple concept. Slasher movie where slasher dresses up as Santa Claus and goes killing people. There's worse ways to spend a night than to watch a excellent double feature of Silent Night, Deadly Night and the original Black Christmas. I stress the original. The remake, much like all modernized, I'm not going to say all, much like most modernized remakes, utter crap, unwatchable. Black Christmas, however, even is probably the first modern slasher movie. It predates Halloween, doesn't predate Psycho, but of the modern slasher era, Black Christmas is really the first one, and it still holds up beautifully. I mean, it's obviously dated because it's the 70s, but it does hold up beautifully. It's legitimately still scary, I think. And Silent Night Deadly Night isn't particularly scary per se, but I mean it's just a fun slasher movie with. I mean, apparently it caused crazy controversy back in the day. I can't really think of anybody taking something that kind of. If you watch it, you'll see how fucking silly it is. Not as silly as the sequels, but how fucking silly it is, and how anyone could take that seriously enough to pick it outside the theater. I don't really understand, but to each their own. I guess people were kind of puritanical in the 80s. I personally was a child, and I was never frightened by the idea of it. The scarier thing was the Tales from the Crypt episode, and All Through the House, where they had a guy dressed up as Santa menacing Robert Zemeckis' wife. That was a pretty terrifying episode. Oh, the guy dressed as Santa was Dr. Eagles. That was pretty terrifying, but Silent Night Deadly Night not so much. It's fun though. I would say definitely Black Christmas, Silent Night Deadly Night. That's a quality double feature. Well, if you're snowed in tonight or if you're snowed in tomorrow night, and you can find them, Silent Night Deadly Night, Black Christmas, solid viewing. Same thing with Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Gremlins, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard 2, Scrooged, The Ref, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I mean, there's a host of movies you can watch. I have a list of about 20 that I watch every year. These are just ones that I feel are underrated, underseen. You're welcome.